Hello. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I'm going to say something real quick at the beginning of this and get it out of the way because nobody wants any of this that comes in here. They just want some stories. And I would much rather just read them straight to you and that be that. But, um, I want to explain why this is coming up every day or two, why I'm doing this sort of thing, why it's showing up for some people who subscribed to listen to a bunch of Art Bell clips, which, I love Art Bell, especially the Ghost to Ghost stuff, which is why I put those clips up, because I love it so much. I was already hoarding all the shows, listening to them all the time, and then procuring like my favorite stories, because I love ghost stories. I always have. I've collected books, and if anybody I ever met, I'd ask them if they had a ghost story. I just love talking about ghost stories. So I had the collection. I just put it up on YouTube and found a bunch of other fans, and that's cool. I'm glad that people could find that. And for that reason, I don't commonly check on comments to videos, because usually it's, I miss you, art, and which is, it's wonderful to see that people are out there and feeling the same things that a lot of others do. But I do, tend to go on to other projects and forget to check. And so today I thought I've been putting these ghost story, what do you call them, live broadcasts up, because for a while now I've been wanting to get back to something I was doing a couple years back in the pandemic. Being stuck at home, it was a great time to open up the old, my favorite ghost book, This Haunted Isle by Peter Underwood, and just read through that. And it was a project I wanted to do, but I had to move from the place I was living at, and I think I've misplaced at least two of my favorite ghost books in the move. I don't know where they went. I've looked everywhere over and over again, and I can't find them. So I haven't been able to get that up and going again. I only did about 3, and they were probably terrible. I was very nervous, as I usually am. I don't want to listen to my own voice, so I put other tracks underneath, rain and thunder and fire or wind, whatever, real loud, so I couldn't hear myself because I didn't want to hear my own voice. So if I was buried in the mix, it made it easier for me. I didn't expect anybody to listen. I didn't think anybody did, but I did get a comment that the audio was real quiet, and I thought, I kind of figured that the audio was, terrible. But I also got one comment about these broadcasts that I've been doing recently, and the only one was comments for the video. There were a lot of chat comments. Well, I'll get to that in a second. The one video comment was that horrid. The audio was horrid, was the word. That's been going through my head over and over and over again since I read it this morning. I apologize. I've raised the volume to the microphone. I'm trying to speak more clearly. I've cut out the backing track. I know that it's not going to sound great, and I apologize. I'm doing this because because I wanted to, because I like to do it, because I like to read these stories, and I like to share them with people. And it'd be cool if other people found it and they enjoyed it too, because in that way I'm kind of connecting to people. I'm older now. I don't have friends to hang out with. I had one friend that I was doing a project with, and he's recently become very busy. So I'm the kind of, ADHD kind of guy that if I'm not doing a project and not working on something, not performing in some way, that I will go crazy. So this is helping me get through the day. So if you don't like it, I apologize. It's showing up on your feed and you don't want it here. I apologize right now if you want me to get to some stories and you don't want to hear me nattering on. But I don't think I can stop myself. The chat comments I did not see. I really feel sorry about that because I did not expect. First off, I don't expect anybody to come in and actually listen. I have no self-esteem. But I really didn't expect anybody to actually say anything in the chat. And today when I was looking at the YouTube, whatever you call information analytics, it showed me that there were chat comments, and I couldn't see what they were because for some reason, and I don't know how to change this, my chat replay, is I think what it's called, is turned off. For like when you come back to watch a video afterwards, you can't see the chat. I don't know how to fix that. I can mess with it right now, I think, while I'm broadcasting and see if there's some extra settings I can do. I checked right before I started to see if I could change it. I don't know how. So all I can do is apologize about anyone who commented before. I don't know if they'll ever say anything again or ever listen again. I'm pretty sure the guy who said that my audio was horrid will never come back again. But I will try to check on the chat now and then. I won't while I'm reading because it'll be distracting. As I said, I have ADHD, and if I see something like that, it's going to throw me so much that it's going to mess up the whole story, and I need to put this shield over my head while I perform so that I can perform the best I can, so I get through a story or whatever it is I'm doing. So then after I'm done, then I'll try to remember to check in on the chat, and if you've said anything, I'll reply. I think that's it. I think that's all I had to say. I don't know if this microphone's good. I apologize if the sound quality's bad. I'm poor. I can hardly afford food, let alone any technological advancements that'll help this sort of thing. And I just gotta hope that it's okay that I'm passing my time in this way and it's not bothering anyone too much if I just read the stories that I want to share. So I apologize for all this. I apologize for poor sound quality. I apologize for not seeing the chat comments before. I can't... I will happily receive any criticism, but I can't change anything. How do I put this? I would love to receive any criticism for things that I am able to fix. But for things that I'm not, I can't help you. I have an accent, I have a voice, maybe people don't like it, I am sorry. I don't know. If I can change it, I will. If it's for the betterment of the performance of the recording. I've listened to a few people who read stories on YouTube. They have a very, consistent matter of speech, way of speaking, and I envy that. I can't do that. Chalk it up to the ADHD thing. I cannot be consistent. Consistency is not my thing. I do envy people who can keep doing something over and over again, and they deserve the listenership that they get, or the viewership that they get. Absolutely, because that's something I can't do. I listen to audiobooks, and I try to read, anything straight through, with one voice. I can't do it. So if it's not your thing, I apologize, and I'd hate that you'd have to unsubscribe because of this, because I keep putting things out, and it keeps showing up, and maybe it gets on your nerves. Also, recently, just last thing I'll say, for this hour of nonsense rambling, well, not nonsense, but I saw some comments about the ghost to ghost things on my YouTube account, that people were upset that there were ads in the videos. I don't know about this. If they're not the ads that were in the original broadcast, I know a couple of them had a bunch of old ads in them. I hate that myself. I hate ads with a passion. And if there's any way for me to opt out of putting any ads in anything I do, I'm there for it. I don't care if the money helps me not be hungry anymore. I don't care. I hate ads so much. I did not know and it was, I think it was, one of them was on like the 2005 broadcast. I don't think should have had any ads. It might have been one where I put the clips together myself. I definitely didn't put any ads in that. One person said, too many ads, unsubscribe. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. The other person said, you shouldn't put ads in this, it's not your content. I didn't put any ads in it. I wouldn't. So, that, if there's anything I can do to stop that, I will. I don't think there should be ads. It's awful if that's happening. I think it's a YouTube thing. I don't know. I just saw that before I started this broadcast, when I was trying to figure out how to keep the chat replay on the video. So, I'm certainly not in the normal headspace right now after saying all that. When I read these stories, I'm usually thinking, I don't know what I'm thinking. Just thinking I'm going to read a cool story, and I'm usually reading these for the first time as well. Another ADHD thing. I can't stand repetition. If I already know something, it's not as interesting to me. So I enjoy going through it. I enjoy sharing it. I enjoy doing this. I apologize if you do not enjoy it. If you don't, you probably haven't listened to any of this, so I apologize if they don't enjoy it. And thank you for listening. And I apologize to you that I've gone on so long about all this blah blah blah. Now, the good thing about the sound effects was that I could pause and do what I had to do for maybe up to 2-3 minutes and just leave the sound effects going, but I don't have them on now, so makes it difficult to do something for 2 minutes. So what am I going to do here? I should have one of those radio buttons you hit and it plays an ad. Right. I'll just ramble on in my nonsense patter. I should have been I didn't know I needed to do this. I do need like 2.5 minutes. So, where's good? Just haunted house. Oh my goodness, that screen is bright. I'm in a dark room, very dark room. Oh, you gotta put more into it. Ambiance. Onto that haunted house. Haunted house ambiance. I'm an annoying asshole. I apologize. I know this. At least I'm aware of it. I wish I wasn't. I hope somebody doesn't mind. That's the best I can ask. In this life of mine, I hope someone doesn't mind. And now, without further ado, okay, just a little ado. Make sure that this is going through the... I don't see it. Oh, I know why. Were the other shows better than this? They better have been. I was actually reading stories. Okay, there you go. Okay, I will be right back. Thank you, sorry. Thank you.
Rompecabezas clásico. No se necesita WI-Fi.
Okay. I think I'm done. Okay. Jeez. I promise true ghost stories. Oh, sound effects. Cease. Thank you. Okay. Alright. Let me know if things are too quiet. Let me know if I'm too Midwestern. I can fix 1.5 of those things. Okay. I promise true ghost stories. This is about... Come here, kitty. This is about Crofton, Nebraska. Most of the restless spirits at the historic Argo Hotel are in the basement. It's not known exactly how many human bodies might be buried down there, and even on the grounds. The doctors who operated a popular bogus health clinic there in the 1940s and 50s did not want anyone to know that their patients had died. It would have been bad for business. So bodies were quickly carried out the back door in the middle of the night or buried in the basement. Employees refused to go down there alone. During the renovation of the Argo Hotel, workmen dreaded having to go down to the basement, claiming that they felt like someone or something was down there. A telephone employee, sent to set up the hotel phones, knew nothing about the history of the hotel or its ghosts when he began his chore. He wasn't down there long when he bolted upstairs and absolutely refused to go back down. He reported that he felt as if his every move was being watched, even though he was the only person there. Then someone started messing with the lights, turning them off, then back on. He turned to see who it was and came face to face with an apparition. Intrigued, I went to experience the basement for myself. It was late at night. The owner had unlocked the door. I took a few steps down into the darkness, and every hair on my body stood up. I felt afraid. "No thanks," I said as I backed up out of the stairwell. I changed my mind. As a New Age retreat half a century ago, the center became very well known and boasted of miracle cures and spontaneous healings, as well as one of the very first X-ray machines in the nation. However, of the 40 doctors who practiced at the center, no one was a licensed physician. These so-called healers used methods including potions, massage, mud baths, and miracle cures to heal the sick, many of whom were deathly ill. Patients flocked to the center from all over the Midwest, often as a last resort. Many patients actually did walk out well, though some didn't. Those who died were quickly buried in the basement or quietly carried out the back door in the middle of the night so as not to tarnish the center's bogus reputation. Didn't I just say that? The operation was finally shut down in 1954 by the health department. The hotel remained closed for 6 years until Dr. Charles Swift Jr. bought it as both his home and his office. Dr. Swift was often called the most colorful doctor in the land. Serving in the cavalry during World War II, Major Swift was awarded the Silver Star in 1945 for gallantry in Luzon, where he was regimental surgeon. The doctor was known for prescribing a shot of his and a shot of this and a shot of that. Today, the bar at the hotel is called Doc's Place in his honor, where guests come for their shots. Oh boy. The Argo has a long history of both prostitutes and movie stars. Same thing. Aspiring actress Leslie Brooks, voted as having the best figure in all of Hollywood in 1940, lived at the Argo for several years before moving west to Hollywood. She became a Ziegfeld girl and appeared in 33 movies. Jerry Bogner, who once managed the Hotel Monta Vista in Flagstaff, and his sister, Sandra McDonald, bought the place, which had been vacant for several years, in 1994. The property was run down and the interior had to be gutted. Jerry admits he has had several experiences in the hotel, often during the restoration. When he walked through the front door, he would catch a shadowy image and feel a draft rush past him as he walked in, even when there was no wind outside. He later had trouble with his computer, which began to send strange messages. Okay, baffled about these strange happenings, Jerry contacted a professional ghost hunter. He purposely didn't tell her the gruesome stories about the basement. The psychic examined the hotel from top to bottom. She determined that the upstairs was usually clear, and that most of the ghostly activity was confined to the basement. She saw many distressed spirits down in the basement and cautioned, "They do seek light, and will probably move on upstairs." She also picked up on old Doc Swift. He is here in the hotel. He is here to see what is going on. He wanders freely through the hotel. In 1912, in Crofton, Nebraska, there were 42 businesses, 4 lumber yards, 5 freight trains passing through daily, and over 100 prostitutes. What the fuck? Nick Michaelis, a Greek immigrant, convinced the town board that he would build a nice hotel if they would put in a sewer. I'm sure there were other things than prostitutes. Just a weird list. They did, and he named his pristine brick hotel the Argo after the ship that carried him to America. The Argo enjoyed its well-earned reputation as the finest hotel in town, until it was sold in 1940 to Dr. Wiebelhaus, and began its new life as the Natural Healing Center. The outside of this very plain, square brick structure, built on the original Lewis and Clark Trail, doesn't hint at the size or grandeur that lies within. Listed on the National Register of Historic Places, the turn-of-the-century Argo Hotel is an imposing three-story red brick building with 3,600 square feet on each floor. Very large crowned windows, lace curtains, ceiling fans, and oak chair boards and moldings. The interior has been restored to its early 1900s ambiance, featuring a magnificent oak staircase, fireplaces, and 10 ceilings. 10 ceilings. Upstairs are 20 guest rooms, all appointed in period decor, many with brass beds, chandeliers, and pedestal sinks. All rooms include a continental breakfast and a tour of the property. Candlelight dining is offered on the main level in an elegant dining room that seats 120 people. Specialties include charbroiled steaks, prime rib au jus, seafood, and prostitutes. Doc's Place, the bar named in Dr. Swift's honor, is also on this level. Don't miss the dreaded basement, now renamed the garden level, houses the Speak Easy nightclub, complete with a 100-year-old bar, dance floor, cigar room, and 2 fireplaces. Hermenia Bogner, nearly 90 years old, who happens to be Jerry and Sandra's mother, plays piano several nights a week, pounding out all the old favorites from the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. What a heaven. Don't worry too much. 3 staircases lead out of the basement. Historic Argo Hotel, 211 West Kansas, Crofton, Nebraska. Well, that was fun. It reminds me of 2 places here in Indiana. There's the French Lick Hotel in French Lick, which has recently been, not recently, it's been like 20 years, turned into a, casino. There's a casino extension. The hotel was a spa, like, classic Kellogg's type health resort, because the sulfur springs, or the natural sulfur springs, are down there in French Lick, Indiana. And so they built this huge hotel in this middle of nowhere, which is actually, it's very overlooky. It's quite shining, like, and you can smell the sulfur all everywhere. There's bowling alleys. They call it Pluto water, the sulfur water, and Pluto is their mascot. Not the dog, the devil. So you see these Mephistophelian statues in the basement of the hotel. Nobody's ever there, and all the floors are kind of lopsided, and it's haunted. Always are very narrow, and the yard in the back is very broad. Trying to remember the name of this movie that Tilda Swinton was in recently. The Eternal Daughter? If you've ever seen that, it's very much like that place. The yard and everything. There's deer in the back. I saw last time I was there. Foggy. Beautiful. Beautiful and sulfury. So, next door is West Baden, which has an even weirder edifice. Hotel, the West Baden Springs Hotel, which also tried to cash in on the local springs and things. But that hotel is... You have to drive back in this recess in the woods, and it's this huge, I want to say like Colosseum sort of shape, but not like the broken down Colosseum, like a Colosseum with a roof on it, like a dome. So this huge dome over it, and it is just bizarre that it's there in the middle of southern Indiana. The spirits are very well alive in both of those places. You can feel it. Then the other place that reminded me of I've forgotten, so I won't. Oh, the Hannah House, which I pass every day on the way to work. The Hannah House is... It was a stop on the Underground Railroad. I say stop like it was an actual railroad. But the basement where people were hiding out at the time was burned. A lantern fell over and caught fire on the hay, and people were burned alive. They couldn't escape. So they say the basement there is very thick with ghosts. And that's where they put their modern haunted house every Halloween to go through the awful, bad taste. Don't disrupt the spirits in that way. But I never went. I went during the day to look through the grounds. But, yeah, maybe that's in one of these books. I just checked the chat. 31 minutes in. This time, no messages. But I checked. Oh, boy. I figured I had to say something at the beginning of the broadcast because people come in, they listen for about 2.5 seconds, and then they drop off. So in that case, they wouldn't have caught me saying anything at all. Well, let us continue with Key West, Florida. The evil doll Chucky in the cult horror flick Child's Play has nothing on this real-life demonic doll, who plays sinister tricks and forces people to do nasty things. Robert, a creepy 3-foot doll, tall straw doll, with darting beady eyes from which he glares if he doesn't get his way, is said to be possessed by an evil spirit. Through some evil force, he is able to manipulate and control people, making them do things they don't want to do. He drove his owner, Gene Otto, crazy with his demands, each one becoming more and more wicked. But try as he might, Gene could not get rid of Robert. Over and over, he would lock the doll in the attic, only to race downstairs and find him sitting in the rocker in the turret room, waiting for him. If he threw him in the trash, Robert would back upstairs. Robert would be back upstairs before Gene even got to the stairs. There was just no escaping Robert or his wickedness. The doll was made by a servant girl who had been abused by the Otto family. It's said that she put a curse on the doll, invoking a series of rituals as she created him. She dressed him in a child's crisp white sailor's suit and gave him to Gene, who named the doll Robert. From the moment he received the doll, Gene's life began to change, and not for the better. He began to experience a never-ending series of misfortunes. Robert was always to blame, and many people who knew the family agreed that the malicious doll was indeed responsible for a host of evil deeds. Neighbors would cross the street, eyes focused straight ahead, rather than walk by the magnificent Queen Anne Victorian mansion with numerous graceful columns and verandas, and a lot of gingerbread detail highlighted by the magnificent presence of its turret. It wasn't the imposing structure they were afraid of, but its malevolent occupant, whose reputation for evil had spread like wildfire through the town. Gene's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Otto, built the home in 1898. The youngest of 3 sons, Robert Eugene Otto, would inherit the family home. Gene, as friends called him, studied art at the Academy of Fine Arts in Chicago and the Art Students League in New York before traveling to Europe, where his work created quite a following. In Paris he met Annette Parker, a native of Boston who was studying music there. They fell in love and were married in Paris. Anne was making a name for herself as well as an accomplished pianist. After she finished her studies in Paris, the couple moved to New York, where Anne performed at the famous Rainbow Room at Rockefeller Center. They should have stayed in New York. Little did they suspect that back in Key West, the evil Robert was patiently waiting for his owner to return. When the couple moved back into Jean's family home, their lives were changed forever. As Robert demanded more and more of Jean's time, Anne became deeply distraught by her husband's unsettling behavior. It was almost as if he were possessed by Robert. He would spend hours locked in the turret room, alone with the doll. It almost seemed that Jean preferred Robert's company to hers. Many nights Anne would hear Jean sitting alone in the turret room, talking and pleading. He blamed Robert for everything bad that happened to him, including his deteriorating relationship with his beloved wife. Anne feared for her husband's sanity. Robert's reign of terror did not end with Jean's death in 1972. The doll still held his evil control over the house and those in it. Although Robert was stashed in the attic, neighbors began to report hearing an evil giggle coming from the next door. Some even claimed to hear the doll walking up and down the stairs from the attic, or see him leering down at them with an evil grin through the attic window. Several years later, a new family bought the house. Robert had a new playmate. Their 10-year-old daughter became Robert's next target. She claims that Robert tortured her. Even today, in her 40s, she is tormented by memories of Robert and his sadistic powers. She refuses to talk about the unspeakable horrors she was forced to endure. Eventually, the satanic doll was removed and replaced in the East Martello Museum, but the attic of Artist House was not freed of its ghostly presence. Soon after the doll's departure, the ghost of Jean's wife, Anne, took up residence, standing guard against the return of Robert's evil spirit. David Sloan, who runs Key West Ghost Tours, says people frequently report seeing the ghost of a woman dressed in white. Anne is the protector of the house, and Robert's spirit hasn't been back. Lots of people tell me that they have seen a woman in white who goes up and down the staircase. I talked to one lady who felt someone sit on the bed next to her. Then the pillow went down like someone's head was lying there. Another guest complained that a woman had come through this room. On one of the tours, we stop across the street from the Artist House. Recently, one of our tour guides, Joni, told me she had just finished talking about the turret room when they saw a shooting star go right behind the house. I thought to myself, no big deal. Several nights later, I was leading one tour, and there was another tour right behind us. I heard a little boy from the other group say, "Look, a shooting star." I looked up to see. This was no shooting star. It was a large orb, slightly bigger than a basketball. It was glowing a greenish blue about 10 feet to the left of the turret. It went down at about a 45-degree angle by the tree line. It lasted for a good 5 count. Everyone on the tour saw it, and everyone was at a loss for explanation. We've seen it several times since. It has always appeared right after we talked about Anne. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. I asked David if he had ever seen Robert. Robert is at the East Martello Museum. Sometimes he looks like a regular doll, but I've seen the transformation too. It's just boom. You can see that something enters him. A lot of people have problems taking photos of Robert. Batteries drain in his presence. Watches, Walkmans. And when they leave, the batteries work fine. One guy who didn't believe videotaped the museum. When they watched it, the sound cut out when they got to Robert. Very weird. Matty Casey manages the ghost tours. He talked about his initial visit to see Robert. The first time I went to the museum, the docent began talking to Robert as she approached the case. "Hey, Robert, this is Mary. I have brought someone who wants to see you." I thought, what a freak. She's talking to a doll. Now I do it too. If you saw Robert, Even if you didn't know anything about him, you'd have the need to say to him, "Hey, Robert, I'm not going to hurt you." It's a very strong presence. I don't believe that he can kill me, though there are people who believe he can. He is one of the only spirits I've ever encountered who has an oppressive feel. He is very angry. Robert is beginning to show his age. He is, after all, over 100 years old. He has that moth-eaten appearance on his face, and his eyebrows and lips, which were painted on, are starting to fade. He really is incredible craftsmanship. He's missing the little flappy cloth ear on his right side, which just adds to his eeriness. His hair is a weird yellowish brown. Sometimes it looks like paint, but other times it looks just like an afro. It really freaks me out. It's wacky. He looks different every time I see him. What's really creepy is that Robert has a constant companion, a little stuffed lion that he carries around with him wherever he goes. The doll is one thing, but he's got a doll. It's really weird for one doll to have another doll. He has been carrying around that little lion for at least 50 years. During Key West Fantasy Fest, they closed down the Martello and moved Robert and his doll to the Custom House in Old Town, where they lock him under a plexiglass cube. They always put a bag of peppermints at his feet to try to bribe him to being good. They swear that the mints are always gone in the morning. That's expensive. Robert shares his display case with a red sports jacket that belonged to the first fire commissioner of Key West and a doll made in the image of the Mallory Square Cookies girl. They keep her in there to keep Robert company. There he sits all day, leaning back in his chair, with his little toy lion in his lap. Many of the people working at the museum believe that he gets out on his own. They say that he hides the key to his case, and at night he lets himself out and walks around. Recently, they cleaned him up and sewed his neck back together. The day after they cleaned him, the bottoms of his feet were dirty again, and there were tiny little footsteps leading down the hall to the door. Every Christmas, the museum puts Christmas trees up and down the wide hall where Robert is displayed. Late one evening, Lois, who works there, was walking down the hall, turning off every light individually. When she got to the end and turned around, several of the trees had been lit up again. Then she heard a rapping on the glass. Knock, knock, knock. She went over to Robert's case, which is brave, in my opinion. His hand was at the glass. There is no way to explain how his hand could have been hanging up there at a 45-degree angle. She went out of there pretty quick. I had a chance to go visit Robert. I passed. Robert spent most of his time in the attic, where he had his own little room above the turret room, now called the turret suite. This room was the following description in the inn's brochure. Turret suite. The lower level includes a king bed, private bath with antique clawfoot tub, shower, private dressing room, French doors to the veranda, and fairy tale stairs that ascend to the upper mezzanine. Here you will find a double bed, dresser, desk, and seven tall magnificent windows that look out over Old Town. There is no other room in Key West quite like this one. But don't be fooled by the flowery prose. This was the spot where evil Robert plotted and planned all his wicked misdoings. Formerly the home of the celebrated Key West painter Robert Eugene Otto and his wife Anne, a concert and jazz pianist, Artist House is an architectural gem. It was built in 1890 by Gene's father Thomas, a surgeon in the army. Dr. Otto was famous for his work during the devastating smallpox epidemics in Key West. Today there are 6 guest rooms and suites in this elegant Victorian mansion filled with period furnishings. The rooms have 12-foot ceilings, richly detailed original wall coverings, splendid woodwork, fireplaces, and private baths, some with clawfoot tubs. Continental breakfast is served in the lush and intimate tropical garden by the quaint antique fish pond. The old cistern is now the site of a huge 10 by 12 foot in the ground heated spa with fountain surrounded by the original 100-year-old bricks. An outing to the hotel, the haunted heart. Sorry, guys. This is going on longer than I thought it would. This Robert Place. The Robert Place. An outing to the haunted Hard Rock Cafe. The haunted Hard Rock Cafe is a must for ghost hunters. It's haunted by a startling entity with yellow glowing eyes, believed to be Robert Curry, Florida's first millionaire. He received the house and all his money as a gift from his family. Despondent after he squandered his fortune, he hung himself in the second-floor bathroom. The estate was sold to the Key West Order of Elks. The Elks soon realized that Mr. Curry had never left. Today the staff watches in amazement as drawers systematically open and shut, or things float through the air. Passers-by have seen the apparition, with its glowing yellow eyes wandering through the place after hours. Fogarty's restaurant is also haunted. It was once a Hooters restaurant, and the third floor was converted into a dorm for the girls. They would wake up to find their shoes arranged in bizarre patterns. Subsequent restaurants on the site failed, until it was learned that Fogarty himself had put a curse on the place. Since it has been renamed after him, the ghost seems appeased. That's all they want. A little recognition. Maybe. David Sloan's Ghost Tours as Florida's second oldest city. Key West has more ghosts per capita than any other city in America, claims David. When Key West was discovered in the 16th century, the beach was covered with bones, with skeletons hanging in the trees. But I thought you discovered it. Spanish explorers named it Cayo Hueso, or Island of Bones. Cayo eventually became Key, and Hueso evolved into West. Really? Or Key West, okay. Or Key West. Ghosts of Indians, explorers, pirates, cigar makers, fishermen, artists, and poets continue to be seen around the... Where are the prostitutes? That was this one, wasn't it? Or was it the last? I don't know. maybe it was the last one. I apologize. I'm still thinking about that. Tour guides are dressed in Victorian morning attire. Meow. Men in black tuxedos, capes, bow ties, and top hats. Ladies in long black dresses and capes. They carry a lantern in one hand and ghost repellent in the other just to be safe. Ghost repellent? 2 tours are offered, the traditional Old Town Ghost Walk and the Bone Island Ghost Walk. We take you to the sites of many of the Key West ghosts, says David. Each tour visits 10 different haunted locations. In the hour-and-a-half walk, you'll discover the dwelling places of ghosts, ghouls, and benevolent protectors. And you'll learn the stories behind many of the legends of our haunted island paradise. The deadly Key West Cemetery, a voodoo curse placed on Klansmen after a lynching. The La Concha Hotel's suicide roof, where no less than 13 jumpers have ended their lives. Or the Lady in Blue at the Hanging Tree. One of the most famous Key West legends involves a doctor who married a corpse, consummated the marriage, and even crawled into the coffin each night to sleep with the lifeless remains of his wife. And then, of course, there's Robert. Okay. Artist House, 534 Eaton Street, Key West, Florida. Wow. Never heard about the guy who consummated with the corpse. But that's Florida, huh? Florida man. Crawling in his coffins. Oh. Oh boy. Well, I have been reading from, just a moment, Ghostly Encounters by Frances Kermeen. So when it gets into first person, I don't know if, I guess, is that her? I can't seem to get to the cover. True Stories of America's Haunted Inns and Hotels. I've got another one here. Now, see, I was worried about this when I started this broadcast. I titled it True Ghost Stories. So, does that mean I have to tell true ghost stories? I was worried about that when I started. I thought, oh, I might not want to just tell true ghost stories, but then, my other self in my brain was like, nah, it'll be fun. Just stick to the true ghost stories. Now I guess I have to, right? Alright. Well, I will. I'm gonna try this other book. Nothing in the chat as of yet. Damn. Jinxed myself. Nobody wants to listen anymore. Is that a good thing? That might be a good thing. How can that be a good thing? See, this is kind of why I don't like looking at a chat, other than, distracting me and making the See, normally I'd just be reading stories, and now I'm talking about the chat. I don't want to do that. I want to just read stories and imagine people are listening. But I don't like... If somebody says something to me, I feel like, I have the... What's the word? Obligation to receive it and respond? Depends on what's said, I guess. Is everything loud enough? I can talk with my neck. I know people who do that, and I guess people can hear them. I can hear them from the other room. It's annoying. It's a big thing for me to not bother people, which kind of is a bother when it comes to, entertaining. I don't want to bother anybody. So I apologize. Too much. Ghosts and children. I don't know how long these stories are. You can't just stop a story in the middle, so... I certainly don't want to go on anything that's over... If it's a true ghost story, I don't want it to be over 10 pages. Let's see, this one's called Room 611, under the chapter Haunted Hospitals, in the book Ghost in the Mirror. When asked about his favorite investigation involving a ghost in the mirror, San Antonio, Texas ghost hunter Martin Leal did not hesitate before naming a former hospital. The skyscraper on East Houston Street was erected in 1928 as the Medical Arts Building, and we can only imagine the drama that filled its 14 floors in the 5 decades it served patients. Though the one-time hospital is today the luxurious Emily Morgan Hotel, we cannot rule out the possibility that it collected at least one of its ghosts during its incarnation. It is also likely that many of the restless spirits result from bygone days when so many people passed away within the hospital's walls. I have been investigating the Emily Morgan... Okay, I'm sorry, I'm confused. Emily Morgan. Oh, it's the Emily Morgan Hotel. I was confused when he said, I have been investigating the Emily Morgan. Okay, it's the hotel. I've been investigating the Emily Morgan for 8 years, said Martin, who is both a paranormal researcher and the creator and guide of San Antonio's popular haunting history tour. Hotel employees keep him updated on ghost sightings. The hotel across the street from the notoriously haunted Alamo, notorious, is a favorite among ghost enthusiasts. Those in the know ask for room 611, according to Martin, who related the following story. A woman attended the conference held at the Emily Morgan Hotel, trusting her secretary to make the reservations. Ghosts were the last thing on her mind when she checked into the hotel and accepted the key to room 611. Around 9 p.m., the hotel's front desk clerk received a phone call from an alarmed guest. He listened to the muffled voice and thought that it sounded as if the excited woman was cupping her hand over her mouth to prevent someone else from hearing her. The clerk glanced down at the phone and saw that the call came from room 611. "Help me!" "Ma'am?" the clerk asked, concerned in his voice. "Save me!" the woman cried. "There is a man in my room." The clerk wasted no time. He sent 2 security guards to the rescue. They were prepared for the worst as they opened the door with a passkey. They cautiously stepped into the room and glanced around. The place appeared empty. They saw no intruder, let alone the frightened guest, until they noticed a woman peeking out from behind the curtains. Oh! I thought it was the end, but there's pictures. Sorry. This is awfully unprofessional. I'm not getting paid, it's not professional. "There is a man over there," she hissed and pointed to the bed. "Get him!" The guards moved stealthily towards the bed and looked behind it. No one was there. Then they searched the room, checking out the closet and the bathroom. "You can come out," they told the frightened woman. "There is no one here." She was shaken as she emerged from her hiding place, her eyes darting around the room. "But he didn't leave." She was bewildered. "I was watching, and I would have seen him leave." She explained to the security guards that she had been putting on makeup when she saw a man reflected in the mirror standing behind her. She whirled around, but he was too fast for her. He had ducked behind something. She was terrified to walk past the bed where she feared he was hiding, so she grabbed the phone and called the front desk. The guards met each other's eyes. Should they tell her? It was not the first time something odd had occurred in that room. They knew why the ghost had not seen the man leave. He was a ghost. Did I say ghost before? They knew why the guest had not seen the man leave. He was a ghost. The hotel management, however, had warned employees not to talk about the ghosts. They were concerned that if word of the haunting got out, that guests would be afraid. One guard finally spoke. "Maybe it was your imagination." Oh boy. He offered in an effort to comfort the anxious lady. Gaslight her a little bit. It was the wrong thing to say. The woman knew she had not imagined the man. Her face reddened and she raised her voice. "I did not imagine it. I know what I saw." As she argued with the other guard radioed for the manager, who promptly appeared. He tried to placate the woman. "We know it wasn't your imagination," he told her, and then explained that she was occupying one of the hotel's most haunted rooms. She had not seen a flesh-and-blood intruder, he told her. Her intruder had been a ghost, manifesting in the mirror for a shadow of a moment before slipping away. "It was kind of funny," Martin added, "because they did not doubt that she was looking in the mirror when she spotted the ghost. She had been applying lipstick when she saw his reflection and she turned her head so fast, she left a lipstick mark from her mouth to her ear. This is... written by Leslie Rule. This book, Ghost in the Mirror. And there's a foreword by Anne Rule, so I'm guessing there's a relation. I did not read it, so I don't know. No, that's the end of the story. I just noticed gaslighting and placating and then a little shaming of showing off that she was putting on lipstick. I had reason to be freaked out. She had the classic in the mirror movie ghost scare of all the best horror movies. Or the worst, I don't know. Never look back in the mirror. Never look in the mirror. Get rid of all mirrors. Be Amish or something, I don't know. Alright. I'm really in my head now, you know? I'm so nervous now. I know I'm messing up more. This is why I don't look at comments. I'm so easily discouraged. I really apologize. I mean, I should have just raised the mic level and just told stories and did it like the other thing. I can't be unaffected. I can't. It's not in me to just shrug things off. I don't get a lot of positive reinforcement, so most of it's just me pushing myself up, but I've got no one else to say anything nice about me. So just, fishing for some compliments there. If you want to say anything nice at all, I'd love to hear it. It could only help to know that at least somebody out there is listening and liking something that I'm doing, instead of just saying, I'm... It's not good to go out there on YouTube and broadcast like I'm doing right now and saying that I'm easily affected by negative thing. I got the last video I did. One what do you call it? One thumbs up, one thumbs down. One thumbs down. Why? What did I do? What did I do wrong? Well, why do you hate me? I don't know. So now I'm just doing a bad show. This is a bad show. You're not supposed to do shows. When you read stories on YouTube, you're supposed to just be an automaton. Let's try one more from Leslie Rule. But let's get out of the hospital chapter. How about... Ooh, Hungry and Haunted. That sounds like fun. This is 2 pages long. I'm also reading in a different font, I wonder. Okay, that's better. When customers use the ladies' room at cafe... Here we go again. Thursday's Ghost. When customers use the ladies' room at Cafe Batavia, they are sometimes startled when they glance into the mirror and see a stranger standing behind them. According to an owner of the Kota, Jakarta Indonesian restaurant, the beautiful woman with the long dark hair and red dress most often materializes on Thursday nights. The owner and I have been email friends since 2001. Shortly after she read my first book of true ghost stories, and she has kept me posted on the paranormal activity in the popular restaurant. Both customers and employees have encountered the ghost, who also manifests in hallways of the elegant restaurant. The spirit is a lady of many moods, like me. Some witnesses have reported that she is laughing, while others have seen tears streaming down her cheeks. The apparition usually appears for a full 5 seconds before vanishing. Who is she? The building dates to the early 1800s, said Cafe Batavia's co-owner, who noted that the nearby Fatahillah Museum may be the source of the haunting. Blame your neighbor. The museum had at one time been the site of offices in the Dutch era, she said. Later it was occupied by the Japanese. We've heard rumors that people were tortured and killed there. We think that the ghost may have left the building and taken refuge here. The Thursday ghost is not the only one seen in the Cafe Batavia. Witnesses have also seen the ghosts of 2 different men. In addition, employees are stunned to find that the bathroom doors mysteriously lock themselves, toilets flush on their own, and the printer and photocopy machine frequently turn themselves on. The restaurant owners say that the weirdest thing of all occurs during staff meetings when an employee is absent. Witnesses will often see the missing employee somewhere on the premises, only to learn that the person is at home. It is the ghost, said one of the owners, taking the form of an absent staff member. I meant to change the timing on these pictures in the slideshow. They're going too fast. Oops. Okay, that should be a little better. I'm trying to make things better. Trying. Oh, the things I do for you. Well, This is a bad show. We've established that. This is a bad show. And once we establish that, then things can, it can just get better. But it has to get awful before it rebounds. Gotta hit the floor to bounce back up. Or something. Shit. I don't know, I had a thought, but... I'd love to hear from you. Oh, yes, of course. If everybody, I'm thinking people are doing a thumbs down thing and don't like this because it's not Art Bell. I'm not Art Bell. I can't be Art Bell. I'm never going to be Art Bell. People coming to my channel, I like ghost stories. That's my thing. I wanted this channel to be a ghost story center. I put those episodes up, those best of Ghost to Ghost, because I like ghost stories. I put them up as a ghost story lover. I gathered a bunch of Art Bell fans. I like Art Bell, but I'm a ghost story guy. So here I'm posting videos, because that's what you can do on YouTube, even though what I'm doing is audio, because I'm an audio guy. I could do it on video, and you'd get even more angry. Let's see this weird, unshapely guy with bad teeth. And I can read things more easily the more comfortable I am, but I'm not comfortable right now because I had to go and read comments. A comment. I read a comment that said I was horrid. I don't know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if a bunch of people get angry at me because I'm not putting up Art Bell stuff, I'm not going to respond by shrinking away and not doing any more. I'm going to do it every day. I'm going to do it more. I'm going to do what I'm doing as myself, and it'll hurt to see bad comments and to watch people leave. But at least I know the people that stick around and the people that watch me and the people that can, hopefully comment positively are there because they like what I'm doing. So I'm hoping someone will like what I'm doing. That's all I'm saying. It's not all I'm saying. I'm saying a lot of stuff. I'm sorry. I'm saying that I'm insecure. I'm terribly insecure. I'm doing what I'm doing because I'm lonely. I'm a sad man with no friends. This is my best way of communicating. It would be wonderful to get some nice communication back. So, don't be shy. Please let me know if you like it. Yeah. Just trapped in Tacoma. Teresa Ricone took a break during a quiet time at Alfred's Cafe in Tacoma, Washington. As she sat down to enjoy a few moments of rest between customers, she glanced at the mirror again, and noticed someone at one of her tables. "When I got up to wait on them, I realized that no one was there," said the part-time waitress and mother of 2 young children. She shivered a little as she told me the story. "It scares me," she admitted, as she glanced around at the mirrors in the historic building. "Every inch of the walls of the popular restaurant and the adjoining diner is covered with mirrors. Ugh. They reflect back upon each other endlessly in a dramatic effect that enlarges the space and perhaps creates a passage for ghosts." You gotta cover up those mirrors. Housed in a one-time hotel on Puyallup Avenue, a few blocks from the icy waters of Puget Sound, Alfred's Cafe serves up classic American food on the ground floor, while the 2 upper floors are used for storage. A lot of storage. Opened in 1888 as the Hotel Brunswick, the 3-story building originally sat a couple of blocks up the hill beside the train station. The building was moved in 1907. While it is easy to find old postcards of other historic hotels in town, apparently none were printed of the Brunswick. It seems that customers were not eager to write home and brag about their stay there. Perhaps they did not want their friends and relatives to know that they were visiting a brothel. The hotel, tucked discreetly next to the railroad tracks, was not the most reputable place in town. During an era when proper ladies' skirts swished about their ankles and divorce was a scandal, the secrets within the walls of the Hotel Brunswick would have shocked the respectable citizens of Tacoma. The hotel's 2nd and 3rd floors were chopped into small rooms, none much larger than a horse's stable. Yikes. There, the liquor flowed freely and the women were not shy. Over a century later, the rooms were still intact, complete with their original doors and transom windows. Worn linoleum and aged wallpaper installed sometime around the 1930s remained in place. Old wiring and new fire codes prevent the owners from opening the space to the public. Today, the upper floors are a dusty place. Some of the tiny rooms are empty, while others are filled with tangled heaps of chairs and various dining artifacts. The storage room is clean and tidy, stacked with huge cans of the standard restaurant staples. "I don't like to go upstairs," Teresa told me. And she is not alone in her apprehension. Some other employees have also refused to venture upstairs alone. It is usually the dishwasher's job to fetch supplies. They must adhere to the task at hand and try not to think about the mysterious noises that emanate from above. For sometimes the staff is startled by the sudden loud clomping of footsteps and the thud of objects falling to the floor. "We'll look around and see that all of the dishwashers are accounted for," said Teresa. "We realize that no one is upstairs." Employees shudder and shoot each other knowing glances as they try to concentrate on taking orders or mixing drinks. Braver employees have searched for the source of the noise and are baffled to find nothing out of place. Who are the ghosts of the old Brunswick Hotel? Some may be from the days of the brothel, while others may have visited or worked in the building during another era. For many years, a popular tavern occupied the ground floor. A bartender who died decades ago had materialized in the restaurant. A waitress reported that she arrived in the morning to see the fellow standing behind the bar. And Alfred's bartender told me that things inexplicably disappear from the place. "Right now we're missing the chore book," he said. "It lists side work that the waitresses check off the jobs they complete each day. It's been missing for a few days." He also admitted that he has closed the place up at night and turned off all the lights, only to return in the morning to find the lights blazing. Whoever haunts the place likes to tease the waitresses. Rebecca Shaman was behind the bar after closing one night when she felt a sharp tug on her hair. "I turned around and there was no one there," she said. Teresa Ricone was in the same area when she felt someone pull on her apron strings. While a number of spirits may linger in the historic structure for a variety of reasons, at least one may be grounded in sorrow. A former cook saw her and told Teresa about it. "The cook left the month I started here," she said, as she recalled the frightened awe in his voice as he confided in her. He had gone upstairs for supplies. When he passed the foot of the open antique staircase on the second floor, he glanced up. A woman in a long skirt was standing on the third-floor landing. He glimpsed her for only a moment, but a few details registered. Not only was her outfit from the early part of the 20th century, but the area around her was also from a bygone era. He saw pictures on the walls, Teresa said. The cook was stunned by the image from long ago. His eyes were drawn to the woman's slender white arms that were covered in bruises. The scenario vanished before he had time to question it. His shocking encounter gives us a poignant clue to the identity of one of the building's ghosts. The woman had been abused, and most likely worked in the brothel. She was probably at the mercy of the strangers who visited her in her confined room. She may have been killed by one of the patrons, her body tossed in Puget Sound, and lost forever in the vast, salty depths. If anyone had cared enough to report her missing, she would not have been a high priority on the detective's agenda. The loud disturbances the employees heard could very well be the sound of her attacker beating her. Ugh. The image the cook saw and the sounds that the others heard could also be the result of a phenomenon known as a place memory, also called a residual haunting. In this type of odd occurrence, it is theorized that a dramatic event is inexplicably recorded by the environment, only to be played back at a later date and witnessed by others. If this is the case, the bruised woman may or may not have been killed. Whatever the circumstances, if the event was indeed a residual haunting, the woman seen was not a conscious entity able to interact, but only an image of an event from long ago. The fact that the cook also noted that the area around her was from another era would strongly point to the possibility that he experienced a place memory rather than an actual spirit. Alfred's Cafe, 402 Puyallup Avenue, Tacoma, Washington. That was fascinating. I don't know. Fascinating. Nothing in the chat. It's been an hour and 19 minutes. It's disconcerting. On the other videos, I noticed several chat messages I couldn't see. Now on this one, where I'm actively speaking directly to you, getting nothing. It's very disconcerting. Very troubling. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what you want. I don't know who you are. This is a bad show. It's a bad show. It's a bad night. It's a bad day. To feel like a ghost before you are one. I had a dream once where at the time when I dreamt this, I had a few friends. We used to I don't want to say it because I'm ashamed of it, because I never do it now, but we used to do, I don't like to say the word play, we used to do the Ouija board. I don't know how else, you don't play with a Ouija board. We took it seriously, but we shouldn't have done it at all. And I don't like anything involving any Ouija board anymore. In fact, at one point we heard of the psychic circle you could use instead of a Ouija board, and we got that, and we tried that. And it was dulled down, the experience with the psychic circle, but we did that for a while. And we spoke to people, or whatever. Ourselves, demons, whatever it might have been. When I had this dream, we were all like, let me try to get it's pretty, isn't it just the case? We were all like 22, living in shared apartments, you know, and all hanging out together, things we don't do anymore in our 40s. Going out to Denny's in the middle of the night because there's nothing else to do in Indiana. Just laughing about stupid stuff and smoking cigarettes and whatever. Going out to graveyards. I had this dream that I was hanging out with my friends, and I was talking to them. I was talking to them as a ghost through the board. And we were having a great time. We were laughing, and I could see my friends laughing and hear them. And you know, it was fun, just like hanging out with your buddies. It was a good time. It was kind of different, you know. It's not like, because sometimes you get those spirits on the board where it's like, you know, it's a harmless interaction, and sometimes you do joke and laugh. We did. And we'd be friendly with the spirits. Then you'd get the one that would try to be ominous and angry and foreboding, and we'd be like, fuck you. Don't give them any time. Just like people in real life that give you crap, you just toss them off. I mean, whatever. You know, you toss them away. Alright, not toss. Don't toss. You know, you put up the brakes, put up the shields, and say, I'm not dealing with you. We're not talking to you. And, you know, we had some good relationships with these unseen presences sometimes. So this dream, where I'm talking to my friends as the ghost through the board, it was like, I was contacting them, and we had a good moment. But then came the time when they had to put the board away, and I was still there, and they were standing around talking to each other, not me anymore, but talking to each other about what they're gonna do for the rest of the night. They're gonna go out to eat. And do you want to come with me, or to the person who's living there? But not me. I just had to watch. And I watched them just talk to each other and then leave. And I woke up with the saddest, most disconnected feeling that it was all fun and games for a little bit, and then they just ignored me and went on with their lives. 'Cause I don't have one anymore. I'm dead. And I woke up with an awful, awful, sad, disconnected feeling. And that was when I was the age, early 20s, hanging out with people day to day. I felt that from that dream. Now, in my early 40s, I really am disconnected. I'm not dead yet, but I'm stuck here. I don't know how to connect anymore. I don't even have a board to use. Well, I guess this is it. This is my board. And for these moments, I hope that I make contact with somebody who will talk, somebody who will enjoy what I have to say, or I know what people want, and I know I can't give it. So I just hope there'll still be somebody out there. Despite me not being what most people want. Even the few weirdos like myself that like to listen to stories about ghosts or scary stories or watch scary movies. That small percentage, I'm not for the majority of those people, and I'm a minority of minorities when it comes to interests. But I am who I am. I don't believe in faking anything or changing who I am to better be who you want, not who you want. If you're listening to this, I think we're pretty cool. But saying that, I'm not interested in numbers. Someone on a comment recently I just saw, I don't know why you don't have more subscribers. I don't need more subscribers. I'm surprised there are as many as there are, and they're not there for me. The subscribers are mostly there for Art Bell. And there's only so much Art Bell I can give. It's not right to what I do on this channel for what I'm interested in for me to just be an Art Bell channel. I put up the ghost stories. I like the ghost stories. I can put up the EVP stuff that he's done. But this should be a ghost channel. If I'm going to focus on a theme, and I could just say it's just me, and whatever I do is, here's my family playing in the backyard. I don't have a backyard or a family, but yeah, here's my kid playing volleyball. I don't have a kid, but playing volleyball, opening a packet. I'm opening a package of race cars that I'm going to make with glue and my hands. I mean, I could just make this a personal account, but I'm gonna try and focus on ghosts. This show, in particular, is awful. I've explained that several times. Terrible show. I'll have to relabel it to True Ghost Stories and a bunch of personal ranting to try and explain myself and whatever. I don't know. But I'm sitting here alone, occasionally with a cat by my side. I'm in a dark room, 11 o'clock at night, talking to a microphone, hoping, but not knowing, that I might be reaching someone with a good heart. And if you could say something encouraging, I'll do more stories. It's about all I can offer, really, as far as new content. Around September, October, I'll put up more ghost to ghost stuff, but I mean, I'm gonna run out of that stuff. I really am. So the Art Bell fans, though I appreciate them coming here and listening and liking what I put up in the past, I can't let them take over my account and tell me what I should be and what I should do. This is just a place for me to share my love of ghost stories, my personal ghost stories, those that I've collected. Perhaps people could send me ghost stories. I'll read those. And it can only get better if you keep going at it, I should have been doing this for years. There's a lot of things I should have been doing for years. But I do a lot of different things. I have a lot of different interests. But I'm going to put those on hold while I'm here. And this is just ghost stories. Or scary stories. Or, chilling, dark, fun stuff. So there's nothing else to say about that. I'm going to read some more stories, but I'm not going to talk anymore about any of this, and I'm not going to think about it anymore. And as far as the chat goes, I just got a message from Brian that says it sounds great to him, so thank you so much. Mike's good. That's wonderful to hear. That's wonderful to hear. It makes me feel so much better. It's good. I record every Friday with a friend of mine. We do skits, audio skits that I put together later. So I listen to what comes out of my microphone, and it sounds fine to me. But I'm going to put the sound effects on hold. And also all this personal talking. I mean, it's hard to know what you should do, one way or the other. Because sometimes when you don't say anything, you stay quote-unquote professional and just read stories like a, text-to-speech robot. That's nice. People like to tune in and listen to that and just fall asleep to it or whatever they do. I listen to it when I'm at work. Sometimes I if it's a not annoying voice, just telling stories, I just put it in my ear, and then I can work. But on the other hand, nobody knows who I am. I'm starting this whole thing. I don't have any other way of communicating. This is the best way I've got. I do have a habit to go on, once I've started, which is why I'm still going on. I apologize. I'll wake up from this later and think, oh God, what did I say? Oh, so embarrassing. I put myself out there. But you gotta chance it, right? You gotta, you don't have to. You don't gotta. When I tell myself that, you should. Then people might actually like who you really are. You never know. I don't have anybody. I love company. I love talking to people. I don't have anybody to talk to. So, this is it. So, if you don't like it, I apologize. No, I don't. Not for that. I wish people liked it. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Like anybody else, I just wish someone liked me. I'm going to stop this broadcast. I'm going to start another one and just do a couple stories. They won't be true ghost story accounts. I don't know if I like these authors personally. I picked up 2 books. And I really miss Peter Underwood. I can't find that book anywhere else. I gotta find my copy. I bought one back in the 90s. Black book, This Haunted Isle. Beautiful. Bought it at a half-price bookstore. And it was right after I got home. Well, after I got back from the first time I ever went to England. And there's this tome of true ghost stories and this beautiful accounting of the writing was so good, of this former president of the Ghost Club in England. And after I read that, I highlighted everything, all the delicious, hair-raising moments in the book. I was at school at the time, in high school, and I would be in school in the classroom highlighting passages in this completely black, coverless book. It's not much surprise that I don't have any friends now. But yeah, I lent it out to somebody that I worked with who said she liked ghost stories, and I must have had it, or I told her about it. In my Aspergerial way of finding somebody with a similar interest to me, I just flooded instantly at her, and she said she wanted to borrow the book, so I gave it to her. She never got it back. I kept asking, and she was like, oh, yeah, I'll get it back to you. So I had to find it on eBay later again, so I might have to do that again. Because it is a good book. If you can find it, This Haunted Isle by Peter Underwood. I have another one of his somewhere, but it's not as, it's paperback, and it's just not as, Alright, enough of this horrible broadcast. I'm gonna have a drink and come back with something like M.R. James or Edgar Allan Poe or something, or, something with dialogue so I can do funny voices. Not funny. I gotta take this somewhat seriously. I do want to be scared. I do want those chills again. I want to use this crackly low voice I can get and really get into it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here.